Russia's frozen north, the mighty Volga rises up and reaches out for people and nature. Over the course of 2,000 miles, this vibrant lifeline crosses the Russian heartland deep into inner Asia. From north to south, it transforms itself into the biggest river in Europe, before creating a spectacular delta and the world's largest inland sea. Heading east across Europe, the light of human presence fades away. In Poland, an enormous plain opens up towards the Ural Mountains in the east and the Caspian Sea in the south. Here, a single river, the Volga, dominates the vast lowlands, which are as large as all of Western Europe. Its source lies in the Valdai Hills, an empty no-man's land between Moscow and the Baltic Sea. In Russia, mighty things are often born in secret. Hidden under ice for much of the year, this is where the Volga rises. Deep in the frozen forests, the river starts its epic journey. Meandering past a typical Russian basilica, the Volga will develop into one of the world's richest river systems. But where does all this water come from? One single source cannot be enough to produce such prodigious quantities. From Valdai, dozens of rivers flow out into the lowlands. Sooner or later, all these waters must surely empty into the sea. But the young Volga does not abide by such rules. Instead, it turns inland. Valdai has an unforgivingly harsh climate. Russian beavers know this all too well. The lead by this beaver's lodge freezes over every night, and with it, the entrance to its home. Sharp incisors are surprisingly good icebreakers. And so begins the morning routine, with a determined assault against last night's frost. Thick ice is no problem for a Russian beaver. And there's another technique: sheer body weight. For the largest rodent in Eurasia, using one's size is faster than biting your way through. A light hop can be enough for an animal that can clock in at 50 pounds. With two, it's even quicker. By dawn, the pool is back to its beaver-sized dimensions. In Russian winter, open water is a rare treat and will not remain unnoticed for long. Mallard ducks quickly turn the basin into a wintry spa. Good for a quick wash and now and again a scrap between the males if it gets a little overcrowded. The beavers may have broken the ice, but for the time being, the ducks are certainly the superior maritime force. For months on end, the giant lakes of Valdai lie blanketed in ice and snow. Monasteries like the magnificent Nilov stand isolated. Yet, just a few miles away, the young Volga flows freely. Spreading through fairy tale forests, the small trickle grows into a formidable stream. As it broadens, it becomes a highway for would-be settlers. American mink. Brought in to enrich the fur trade, they've only been here a couple of decades, yet now it's they who have become the hunters. For a mink, this is a perfect habitat. Beavers are not only familiar to the mink, they help them make it through the Russian winter. By breaking ice and building dams, they keep the river open. And this means access to fertile hunting grounds. A decent-sized frog makes a very decent meal. An American migrant who seems to have settled well in this Russian realm. As dark as oil, the Volga glides from the high plateau of its source out into the plains. When it leaves the Valdai Hills, the river almost gets within sight of Moscow, and yet it still looks just like Siberia. Here, the Volga turns south, descending into endless Russian lowlands. Moose. At the outset of winter, they come to the floodplains seeking safety in numbers. But food is scarce. The search for something to eat is always on. The land is buried under snow, and the going gets harder and harder. The only answer is to head to the forests. Even in the woods, the snow is deep. But at least it's sheltered and warmer. A winter forest can be full of life. But even in Russia, squirrels in numbers like this are a surprisingly rare sight. Besides nuts, the squirrels gather insulation for their nests. Tirelessly, they strip the bark from dead or dying trees. Packed down, snuggled in, recyclable. That's what you call sustainable. What do moose think about? Could it have learned something from the squirrels? In fact, it's the other way round. The moose's work helps squirrels get to the softer wood. Meanwhile, for the moose, bark is its daily bread, a cornerstone of its winter diet. They prefer maple for its sweet taste. Even poplar, while somewhat bitter, is a delicacy. Frozen stiff, the outer layer is easy to snap off and very crunchy. An observer in nearby trees sees an opportunity. A moose, resting to digest bark, could provide a healthy meal for the bird. To get its prize, the tit must wait for its chance. Nimbly, the bird combs the moose's thick hair. At its roots, louse flies and their eggs are spending the winter. That bird's help in delousing moose has never been filmed before. The long Russian winter is the mother of invention. The moose is happy too, as the tits dig out the tiny protein snacks from its flank, the perfect winter food. But sometimes pickings are slim, so tits have another trick up their sleeve. The great black woodpecker has a bigger, more powerful beak. If need be, it can expose an entire tree root like this. Hard work, but essential. Shavings shake loose all kinds of meals. Small beetles, spiders, ant eggs. Crumbs from the woodpecker's table which the tits can enjoy. In Russia, nothing goes to waste. For 5 long months, winter rules the northern Volga. Icy times, ripe for reflection. Moscow harnessed the power of the Volga before the atomic age, giving rise to reservoirs as big as seas. In this case, at Rybinsk, nearly 4 times the size of New York City. The energy produced powers this vast country. For hundreds of miles, high-voltage lines flow through the forests, branching out to form beloved meeting points. In the cold morning air, bison emerge from the woods into patches of sun. As in North America, where bison are known as buffalo, these mega beasts were nearly hunted out of Russia. Today, they have resettled. In the United States, they're associated with the plains. Here, forest is their natural home. Better to stay out of the way. But the wild boar have a plan. European bison can weigh as much as a car. Even deep drifts present no problem. Like snowplows, the half-tonners cruise through the woods. Despite their shorter legs, the wild boar can easily navigate using the freshly made bison paths. Not very quietly, but at a respectable distance. They're en route to a very special place. Far away from the oceans, forests begin to change. Here, oaks grow shorter than in Central Europe. The boars know every oak in the area. Hidden from the chill, a bounteous supply of acorns lies buried. Just as their stomachs fill, their snouts grow frosty. The harvest has been rich this year. The herd is relaxed. December is the month of their rut. Time for a boar to check his sows. Would-be suitors are not tolerated. The front is clear again. All that remains is to win over the sow. But she wants to be conquered. Once again, the smaller boar takes up the scent. The alpha male pushes him aside with little effort. Finally, the couple retreat into the undergrowth, where nature takes its course. The young rival sneaks up to see if he can learn something. Luckily, the big boar is busy and in a good mood. Or so it seems. When the rivers freeze over, Russians grow melancholy. The Volga never reaches Russia's capital, yet its tributary, the Moscow River, flows right through the city. Over 300 feet high, a statue stands here to the Russian Emperor Peter the Great. More than 3 centuries ago, Tsar Peter built his empire's power right across Western Russia, following rivers like the Volga all the way to the sea. The country's honor and glory are closely bound to these waterways. But the Volga's history has seen painful chapters too. The Kalyazin Bell Tower is a memorial to a severe flood. Before World War II, Stalin built dams on the Volga, constructing power stations to defend the Soviet Empire. Hundreds of villages, thousands of farms, and dozens of churches sank forever under the deluge. The Volga has traveled nearly 600 miles to this point, and still it goes on, even deeper inland. Far to the east, the old island fortress near the city of Kazan has had many lives. A rampart against horse-riding raiders, a gulag, a psychiatric hospital, and nearly a World Heritage Site. The days are short, and little time remains to search for food. Animals behave like many Russians have learnt to do: pull the belt tight and wait patiently. The frost finds bison in their element. Young bulls full of energy are coming into their peak form. For many animals, tree bark is the winter staple. Nothing else can be found now. Grass and herbs lie deep under the snow. Bison love to rub energetically against smaller trees, satisfying itches in parts that are just too hard to reach with teeth or hooves. The bison aren't the only ones with massage on their minds. A wild boar is cautious at first. There could still be a bison around. A bison scratching post, pre-rubbed, perfect. Threadbare trunks make a good surface, and the snow is already trampled. There's the shoulder rub, and the other shoulder, all the way down the back. A little neck massage can't hurt. On they go, deeper into the forest before the bison trails are snowed in. Moving east, they may encounter the biggest contributor to the Volga's immense size, a mountain range known as the Urals. Amidst thick forest, huge tributaries drive through the approaches to the mountains. Here the forest is so dense, the best way to penetrate is by river. This is a world of snow, and when it melts, it will all run into the Volga. More than half of the river's volume comes from melted snow. The Ural Mountains separate Europe from Asia. This windswept summit is known as Mont Pupignan. Vast stone statues over 40 meters tall. On their eastern side, all rivers flow to Siberia. Just a few steps away to the west, into the Volga. Billions of tons of water bound together as snow. From here, great tributaries of the Volga, the Vishera, the Kama and the Belaya, begin their way into the endless plains. For now, the Volga is still sleeping. But under the ice, pressure is about to produce a dramatic effect. Shards pile up alongside the Makaryev convent. A giant is awakening. The Volga is freeing itself from its icy corset. In a matter of just a few hours, the main stream runs free. Spring sun blesses the holy walls. The Volga's pulse is starting to beat again. Veins bringing life to a land which has been set solid for months. Snowmelt fills the river courses. Some species head upstream to their spawning grounds or seek new sources of food. A common dipper. It's here to hunt caddisfly larvae, lying under stones in the melt water. The last ice is a useful perch. River otters. This family is heading upstream in search of fishing grounds. The mother has two young. They're nearly fully grown, yet still they rely on her to find food. Meltwater on a river bend has flooded a reed bed. The roots are perfect shelter for amphibians, and the mother otter knows it. Common frogs hibernating at the bottom are the reward. It's a welcome meal, and the young otters must take advantage, for soon they'll have to hunt on their own. In just a few minutes, they catch dozens of frogs. Russians have a special word for it, chalyava. If fate suddenly sends you a windfall, don't hesitate. Take as much as you can. For the otters, this is pure chalyava. Soon their bellies are full, and now instead of hunting, they want to play. Not so much fun for the frog, but for a young otter, this chance to explore and build its strength is a vital opportunity in the still chilly spring conditions. Plenty more frogs have nevertheless survived along the countless tributaries. Among all the Volga's principal sources, there is one more, which many claim is a forgotten one. Hundreds of miles west and north of the Urals, close to Finland, lies the third vital source of the Volga, Atleka. These are the last primeval forests of Europe. Cold, wet woodlands home to a truly special bird. Capercaillie. The cockbird performs an ancient ritual. His clicking call echoes back from the forest around him. It's a call for a mate. A hen watches from the sidelines. She has seen another male. A rival. He perches off the ground to make himself seem superior. The cock must defend. His display arena and the female are at stake. The rival is not backing down. The two capercaillies fight with their beaks. Each aims for the bullseye, the bright red makeup around the opponent's eye. Eventually, the rival concedes. The rest is a piece of cake. And now, a lap of honor. Time to display his full majesty. The reward is surely his. Or is it? Gentle snowfall. For mating to succeed, capercaillie eggs and their ground nest need a dry bed. So hens avoid snowy romance. This is Russia. Endless effort, however, winter usually wins the day. By mid-May, it's safe to say we're seeing the last of winter. Moose are back in the river valleys. Like it or not, they must brave the water. There are no great dangers lurking here, but the meltwater is ice cold. Who's going to take the plunge? It always takes one brave one to go first. Moose are excellent swimmers, and they know the narrowest streams. They may swim together, but at the other bank, each will go its separate way. Perhaps they'll meet again. Many more rivers lie ahead. Vast clear bodies of water full of life push through the valleys into the central Volga basin. Groundwater flushes from underneath to the surface, only to sink again and follow underground slopes. This region is the most powerful reservoir in Europe. Countless rivers begin their lives here. The rivers feed three great seas: the Atlantic Ocean via the Baltic, the Arctic Ocean, and the Caspian Sea via the Volga. In Russian, the name of this magical region, Atleka, is short for these seas. The waters of Atleka are the third major source. Together with Valdai and the snow of the Ural Mountains, they make the Volga into Europe's mightiest river. Its catchment area is like the size of Alaska. At one point in particular, it is joined by another big river, the Kama, and this makes the Volga a giant. Truly majestic, the mightiest river in Europe. Yet nearly 1,000 miles more lie ahead. From now on, the river will flow southwards. In the hinterland lie tiny unnamed tributaries. The forests here are lusher, home to Ural owls. A fledgling chick and an expectant parent. Luckily, that's what claws are for. But what next? Not what you'd call the perfect first flight. The ground is no place for a small owl. Claws to the rescue again. One small leap in the bird world. A giant one for this young owl. Enough flying school for one day. Ural owls are not fussy about food. They hunt almost anything the forest offers up. The adult must dismantle morsels for a small beak. A very Russian trait. Still needs to be beak-fed, yet wants to fly high. The river babbles along beneath. To a beaver, the mere sound is a source of concern. What a mess! The dam has burst. The home pond is draining fast. An emergency that calls for immediate action. Beavers don't have it easy in Russia. They can't just build here on the basis of the weather. If people open a sluice upstream, water will break their dams. Closing sluices downstream has the same effect. Sealing breaches is a daily matter. A fellow worker has woken up. Larger branches that can fill big holes demand two operators. They encourage one another with a push-pull. At last, the framework is in place. Now for the mortar. Even the smallest holes get plastered in. The devil's in the detail. Bulldozing makes the route to the dam easier and helps to shore up foundations on shore. The rest of the night is spent making good. Having built up a head of steam, neither wants to stop. A beaver can never get enough building materials. By the time they lay the final layer, it's nearly dawn. A last listen, no more babbling. Their dam is secure once more. But for how long? Even in summer, Volga nights are cool. A heavy morning mist hangs over an old meander. Sun takes time to break through. There's a new breach. Water has found an alternative exit, this time from the other side. The water has flushed out an unexpected guest, a Russian Desman. It's just become homeless. High water has flooded its burrow. Desmans are a kind of water mole. Instead of tunnelling through earth, they fish about for food in murky water. Like their cousins the moles, they're virtually blind. Why have sight? There's little to be seen in the silt. Better to have a strong nose. A Desman's snout is always on the move. It senses what is edible and what isn't. Water snails are a favourite. Time to leave the sinking pool. For the beavers, the day shift is about to begin. To keep their domain intact, water must never be allowed to run low. But the flow is strong. Branches just won't cut it. A more substantial barrier. Beavers build with wood, so a pallet, driftwood from the main current, is just right. Emergencies call for ingenuity, an ancient Russian motto. Time for a Desman to dry out. And it's not only them. Everyone's got that grooming feeling. And when that's over, time for a little free time sparring. Nothing like a spot of water boxing in a beaver paradise. Summer in the Volga is short and intense. Freshwater shrimps bloom in the clear protected waters. In tributaries and lakes, water fleas and other plankton flourish. Young pike grow up fast here. Soon they will become giants. And deep flooded meadows cut off from the main river, make perfect hunting grounds. Further south, the Volga moves into a world of heat and drought. On the barren edge of Inner Asia, it becomes a vital refuge and lifeline for wildlife. Shaping a lush water world, where the river creates our planet's largest inland sea.